Now that we know the Assassin's Creed Netflix series is coming very soon, with a lot of casting announcements and other things slowly starting to be confirmed, I think it's the perfect time to revisit the one piece of live action Assassin's Creed media we've received that wasn't a game, the Assassin's Creed movie. I wanted to see what this upcoming Netflix series could potentially learn from the movie, what it did well, what it needed to improve on, and ultimately whether the movie was even good or not. I haven't watched this movie since it originally released way back in 2016, so it's been about 10 years since I last saw it. I finally got to rewatch it recently, and yeah, let's just go over everything. Now, I think this goes without saying, but there will be spoilers of this movie in this video, so if you don't want anything spoiled for you, just click away right now. The movie is set in Spain in 1492 during the Spanish Inquisition. Honestly, this is a really cool setting, one that a lot of Assassin's Creed fans have wanted for years. The entire premise of the movie revolves around locating the Apple of Eden. Throughout the film, we constantly switch between the modern day and the historical assassin Aguilar. We get plenty of references to the Creed, like the tenets being read aloud, Aguilar having his finger cut off, and later on we even see what I believe is Arno Dorian, appearing as a hallucination along with a few other assassins. You could tell they really wanted to stick to the Creed and give us fans a lot of Easter eggs to look out for. And I gotta say, I really did enjoy trying to decipher everything going on in the background scenes, just trying to make sure I don't miss anything important that could be a reference to any of the previous games. This movie really relies on the bleeding effect. A large portion of the runtime takes place in the modern day. The split feels close to like 75% modern day and like 25% historical Spain. As for the modern day setting, I actually really liked the Abstergo facility. It felt very similar to what we saw in AC1, the Ezio trilogy, AC4 and onwards. The blue lighting, the grey walls, and that constant feeling of being trapped in some massive prison were all very well done. They absolutely nailed that same vibe we would get playing as Desmond in the early games. It's a very mysterious setting and you're always curious on what exactly is going on in this facility. Now the Animus itself gets a little weird. If you're an Assassin's Creed fan, it definitely takes some time getting used to. Instead of the classic Animus chair that we all know, the main character is connected to this massive mechanical device that allows him to physically act out Aguilar's movement in real time while reliving his memories. Honestly, it's kind of like Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man 2, with all those mechanical arms controlled by the brain. It's strange, but I do understand why they did it this way. You can tell the filmmakers really wanted to emphasize how quickly and powerfully the bleeding effect takes hold of the main character. And since they only had about 2 hours or so to make that transformation believable, they needed a faster way to do it. In the games, Desmond has years to evolve. He had around 5 games to slowly gain assassin abilities through the Animus. Here, they didn't really have that luxury. And this sort of brings us to the movie's first major problem. The Animus System, the bleeding effect, and the modern day storyline as a whole were simply too much for a single movie to handle in such a short runtime. While I enjoyed seeing the bleeding effect on screen, it came at the cost of Aguilar's screen time, and that's where the movie truly shines. Personally, I would have preferred if the modern day story was almost completely removed. The movie should have focused almost entirely on the historical assassin storyline. Maybe at the very end they could have teased the Animus, something like the main character waking up from a session. This is similar to how the Assassin's Creed novels handle things. Many of them just focus almost entirely on the memories and barely touch the modern day. But it works because we as fans can just assume that there is somebody in some Animus somewhere and is reliving these memories of his ancestor. Now when it comes to combat, stealth, and parkour, I honestly have no complaints. The choreography was excellent, and you can tell a lot of care went into making everything look authentic. Every single scene with Aguilar was a highlight. His quick thinking, reflexes, flexibility, they absolutely nailed how an assassin should move. Which makes it even more disappointing that we didn't get more of this instead of so much more modern day content. Some of the tools we get to see in the movie include the hidden blade, grapple hook, swords, throwing knives, spears, bow and arrow, smoke bombs. So yeah, pretty much everything we love using in these games made it into the actual movie. We also got some genuinely badass air assassinations, incredible parkour sequences, and some really memorable moments. One scene I loved in particular was Aguilar using quick back ejects to scale a building between two tight towers, exactly how we would do it in the games to sort of climb quickly up a building. There were also several carriage hopping scenes, zipline action, and even multiple insane leap of fates. It honestly hurts knowing that all of this made up only about 25% of the movie. Imagine how much better it could have been if we got just a little bit more. Now let's talk about the Apple of Eden. The entire story revolves around locating it through Aguilar's memories, and the movie explains the apple constantly. Dude, they literally yap about it every chance they can get. The modern day assassins keep warning the main character not to reveal its location to the Templars, while the Templars constantly try to convince him that using the apple could eliminate violence from the world. But here's probably the dumbest part of the movie. When the Templars finally get their hands on the apple, nothing happens. We never get to see its abilities. We never get to see what it can actually do. We never understand why it's so feared. The Templars hold on to it for like a day or two, show it off at some big Templar hall meeting, and then it gets stolen back by the modern day assassins. That's it. Dude, this entire movie builds up the apple as this insanely powerful artifact, and we never get to see it used even once. And what makes this worse is that we already know what it can do from the games. We've seen it control minds, alter reality, and dominate entire crowds. So why didn't anyone try to use it in the movie? Not even once? Was nobody curious? Alright, so what can the Netflix series learn from this movie? Honestly, if I had to rate it, I'd give the movie a solid 6.5 out of 10. So not the greatest movie I've ever seen, but also not the worst one. What I think it did really well was the action. What it didn't do well was the constant need to explain everything through dialogue. Assassin's Creed works best when there's a little bit of mystery, just like how the artifacts were treated in the games. The modern day storyline also needs to be trimmed down and better balanced. Luckily, a Netflix series has a huge advantage over a movie: time. With multiple episodes, they can let the bleeding effect and the modern day elements develop naturally instead of rushing them. I'd love to see more stealth, more parkour, and more grounded combat. I've always felt that a Fargo style structure would work best for Assassin's Creed. So essentially each season focusing on a single setting and a single assassin, telling a complete arc before moving on to a new era in the next season. And please Netflix, don't add a lore mess, a modern day overload, cheap CGI, and forced game references. Netflix needs to balance fan expectations with a clear, grounded story. And most importantly, stay true to the themes. Amen. That's enough from me. But I'm curious about you guys. What do you guys want to see from the upcoming Netflix series? And also, what did you think of the Assassin's Creed movie? Let me know in the comments below. This has been Hassasini here. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Assassin's Creed content.